I just had fun. I mean, I had so much fun. And so like that really helped because yeah, I did have some tough things come up, a little bit. And it just got completely overpowered by like the joy. I'm sure that played a part in, it going quite well from like an FKT perspective.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Bikes for Death podcast presented by Old Man Mountain. As always, my name is Patrick, and I am your host. And on today's episode, I am more than excited to bring you a conversation that I just had with Daniel Connell, also known as Dirty Dan on the internet. Dan is fresh off setting a new fastest known time on the Pacific Coast, which will be the kind of meat and potatoes of today's episode. But what some people may not know is that Dan is currently preparing for a world record attempt at the Pan American route going from Prudhoe Bay, Alaska down to Ushuaia in South America. He's getting ready to leave in July. And so this Pacific Coast ride was a part of his training and preparation leading up to that. I'd say it went pretty well. And that's what we have to look forward to in today's episode. But before we get to it, let us take a moment to thank the people that made it possible, starting with Eric Finner from Old Man Mountain. All right, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. Eric Finner back to tell us about a brand new product once again from Old Man Mountain. This time, the Manzanita Cradle, which is a really impressive. I've got to see it in person, has a lot of great features. But the first thing I wanted to ask you about is the collaboration between Old Man Mountain and Salsa, where that came from and how that contributed to bringing this to market.
Yeah, that was a surprise for us and a fun one. Salsa basically approached us after or at Sea Otter a couple years ago and said,
Mm.
"Hey, sign this NDA, and we can't tell you anything until you do." um, so,
That's when you
uh,
know you're about to have a fun conversation.
right? Yeah. So we signed that. A couple weeks later, we get into a conversation, and they'd been working on the evolution of their anything cradle. But with all the turmoil in the bike market of COVID bike boom and bust and all that, they decided to just focus on their core, which is their bikes, and wanted to turn to us to partner with to bring the new anything cradle to market. So we got to take it off their hands, make a couple tweaks to the cradle, and then we redesigned the bag to get it across the line and bring it out. So the great thing is for us, it's our first cradle, but we get to inherit all of the knowledge and experience of Salsa's development in the anything cradle, which kind of like invented the rigid cradle category a bit. So yeah.
Just a fun question. Manzanita. Where does that name come
Yeah.
from? And who gets to pick the names? Do y'all just like round table it there at Old Man Mountain and whoever has the best idea wins? Like, how does that go down?
Yeah, naming is probably the hardest part of any product development. It's
You're
so
right.
to agree on a name. Um, but yeah, Manzanita, we thought about naming it like the Anything Cradle 2, but because it was coming from Salsa, but actually like being sold through us, we didn't want to confuse people.
Hmm.
So Manzanita is a plant that's all over Central Oregon. It grows super fast and it will kind of reach out and just snag your bars or your bike or your pedal when you're riding through because it'll overgrow a trail so fast. So for the cradle, well, we love getting the weight low on our bike, on our racks and, hemlock bags and things like that. If you're in a really tight single track trail with manzanita on both sides, the hemlock cradle can be a better option because it gets the weight up out of the way where it can't be smacked by all these bushes and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
we try to make our bags stick to Oregon native plants as much as
Okay.
possible. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. All right. More importantly, what are some of the features of this bag or yeah, this like cradle system is what it really is that you're excited about? We talked about some of them, but I know there's a lot going on with this cradle.
Yeah, so I mentioned the hooks on it, which is just a great ease of use feature. So that it's not a pain to mount and unmount this. The other big one that's different with ours is if you look at the rails that mount on top, we have 6 holes for mounting accessories, and they're all 64 mil spacing. So you could do water bottles, you could put, um, computer mounts, light mounts, all those things. And we have a little set of accessory mounts coming out in the next week or two, for it. And then you could even do a bolt-on top tube bag that goes up there in additional spaces. Like it just, your bar space is precious.
Yes.
Like it's so hard to fit everything up there and keep it organized and not have all these mounts piling on top of each other. And so we wanted to get the stuff off your handlebars right in front of you, especially for lights too. Once you put a cradle out there,
Hmm.
if the light's mounted on your bars, then it's kind of fighting your bag, getting in the way. And
Yep.
so now you can put it right on top at the front of the bag, and have a full view there. Otherwise, the whole thing's just designed to be incredibly stiff and rigid. Like weight on your bars is, it's going to have an effect on your handling. And if we can stabilize it so that it moves with your bars and not against them, that's going to be the
Mhm.
best option. And so that was a really, really big focus of the development of this. Yeah.
And what about the rotation of the cradle?
Yeah, so obviously you can rotate it at the bars itself, the angle of that, and then the cradle in relation to the arms of the cradle can rotate as well to help um, make sure that the angle's where you want it. That's especially important because of those additional 2 mounts on top, because we've got the 4 mounts on the arms and then 2 mounts on top of the cradle itself. And
Hmm.
so you've got all kinds of adjustments to make, whether you've got a really short head tube, a tall head tube, just want to get this thing up out of the way of suspension, whatever it is, like you can get this in the perfect spot out of the way of your cables, and
Yep.
perfectly set with your bike.
This is a product that you showed me last year at some point, and I was so excited for it to come out. And all these very small design features are like mega in terms of like what they provide to the rider, getting your light in a good position. The mounting options on the rack itself was freaking brilliant. Like that, you said it best. That is such a precious space to have, and trying to
Mhm.
figure out the amalgamation of like bike computer light, iPhone, and having everything like work in tandem, and just
Mhm.
yeah, I'm really excited about this one. I think it's a really well designed and thought out product. Where can people go to find out more? I bet you know where, and I think we also have a discount code. So why don't you incentivize some people to go check them out themselves?
Yeah, so oldmanmountain.com, we've, got it all over the site right now. We just finally got them in stock after the launch a couple months ago. So they're shipping now right away. And then we have a 15% off code for OMM or death. OMM or death, 15% off.
Hell yeah, dude! All right, Eric, thanks for coming on the podcast, man. It's always a pleasure, and we'll see you the next time.
Thanks for having me.
All right, take care. Bye bye. All right, ching, 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 ching. The bills have been paid, and now it is time to get to my chat with the one, the only, Dirty Dan Connell. But first, let's have my friend Miles Arbor kick it off with the Bikes or Death theme song.
You load up your bike, you ride away from home. You could be with your friends or you could be alone. You ride for a day or maybe more. You just love being in the great outdoors. Everything you need is strapped to your bars, including that new pillow you got from Santa Claus. And then you think, oh shit, to yourself. You left that super lightweight tent on the living room shelf. Bikes or death. Bikes or death. Podcast.
Recording because on the last podcast I forgot to hit record and we like started. So
No
we are
way.
definitely recording. We're recording here. This is not my first time. And hell yeah, I'm rocking a sweet mullet. Yeah,
Dude,
baby.
it looks great. It looks so
Thanks,
good.
man. I'm just trying to be one of the cool kids.
You are successful.
It's a work in progress because I've been getting some feedback as a Texan wearing a camo hat. I look a little ice agent esque, and I like,
No,
but
dude, not with that smile. Not with that smile.
bring it on, man, bring it on. So I might grow it out a little bit longer, but it was really funny because I actually went to California for the first time for sea otter.
Oh,
And
cool.
at the San Francisco airport, I got mean mugged like harder than I ever have in my entire life. And my
No
girlfriend and I were
way.
talking about it. We're like, dude, it's got to be the camo hat and the mullet. Like, I don't know. It's weird vibes, dude. So
That's
I don't know.
so funny. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
but I'm liking it. I'm nice, everybody. I'm not an ICE agent. I just have a mullet. I'm from Texas. But
Again, dude, with that smile, no one's gonna be mistaking you for a nice agent, man.
yeah, appreciate that. From one good smiler to maybe another, I'll take the compliment. Well, good morning. Where are you? Are you in your home in California or what?
Good morning. Yeah, I'm here in Santa Barbara. I'm on my second round of pancakes for the morning.
Second round. What time did you get up this morning?
Around 6:30.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you've
6:30.
been
Yeah, I
up.
mean it's been about a week almost since I finished, so I'm like getting back into my normal kind of go to sleep, wake up habits again.
Are you so you're getting caught up on all your sleep and calories and everything, or you're still eating two pancake breakfasts every morning trying to get caught up?
I'm still eating a ton. Yeah, I'm still eating a ton. I think on this ride, I didn't do an excellent job of eating as much as my body wanted me to. So I think my calorie recovery is a bit more prolonged than I'm used to.
Um, do you know this guy? Dominic McLeod?
I don't
Dom. I think he
think
goes by
so.
Dom.
No. Oh,
Dom Fish
Domfish
does.
Designs. Yeah, dude, that's
Yeah.
my boy. Oh, I just didn't know his last name. Oh my God, you met him at Sea Otter.
Yeah, we met at Sea Otter. We met at
Oh,
Sea Otter.
dude, Dom is the best, man.
He says the
He's
same thing
so good.
about you. And he
Oh
had
my
so
gosh.
shout out Dom. It was like Dom's a awesome dude. Got to meet him at the Sea
Yeah.
Otter Old Man Mountain camp out. He was one of the cool people that was there. But he had a quote that I thought was a great way to open up today's episode. And he said that you are bike packer's favorite bike packer. I'm pretty sure he was the one that have said that. Have you heard that before?
Oh my gosh, that's really sweet. My buddy Mateo said that the other day too, and I was really touched by it.
When he said it, I'm like, it's so true. Like Dan is just the guy that like everybody wants to go. Well, you are the guy that everybody wants to go on a ride with. Everybody wants to go on a tour with. Like when you go do an
Oh,
FKT, you have mega people coming out to like visit you and track you down and everything. And I think it has to stem from like you just exude positivity, a big smile, stoked for riding bikes. Um, where do you think it comes from?
oh my gosh. Man, I don't know. I think maybe because like I don't my focus on riding, it's not just like FKT attempts or like super gnarly like physical efforts, but like I very much completely equally love the other style of bike packing that's like slow form touring and just like really taking your time getting to know a place and like organizing super welcoming group rides for people that have never done bike packing before. I think that I love tapping into all the different forms of bike packing, and so I think maybe that's relatable to some folks maybe.
Well, I think what is interesting is yes, you do a wide array, and that's something I can really relate to. Is I never want to be defined as just a gravel ultra cyclist or a mountain biker or going fast or going like I like all the flavors of life. I like all the flavors of cycling, but as somebody who's gotten to know you and been watching you for a long time, like it is your positivity that just like shines through on a mega scale. And I'm wondering if that's just something that you come by just naturally. I mean, I think it's got to be like partly just your natural like baseline personality, but how hard is it to carry that positivity and that I don't know. I think there's an element of like mental toughness in there to like when
Mm.
things are going hard, when you're pushing on a hard effort to maintain a smile and a positive mental attitude.
Mm. Yeah, definitely. I think I definitely don't mean to paint a picture that's just like, oh yeah, I'm just like super cheery, happy all the time. Like I would definitely consider myself a positive person. But for sure I have my moments. I mean, especially on those like more difficult, FKT style bike rides. I definitely have my times where I things start to take a turn. I think that, my baseline on all of that stuff is like just I'm constantly aware of how lucky I am just to be there, just to be doing it, to even
Mm.
be having whatever problem that may be. You're lucky to just have the choice to be out there to go on like some crazy bike trip. And so like for instance, the word like a lot of people use the word suffering to relate to bike stuff. They're like, oh yeah, like love the suffer fest or something like that.
Yeah.
And like no judgment on that, but like that, like I could never use that word to describe cycling of any kind, even like the really hard efforts, because it's like it's not suffering. If from my perspective, it's like you're just choosing to be out there and having the time of your life, and with that comes like some more challenging moments, but at the end of the day you're just lucky to be given it a shot. And so I think when I have my low moments and I remind myself of that, then I'm like, okay, cool. Like I might as well enjoy, or like might as well be positive about this situation, because yeah, just lucky to be experiencing it at all.
Yeah, at a baseline, very fortunate, right? Could be a lot
Super.
worse.
Oh my God. Yeah. Dude, your bike packing.
Have
It's like as
you,
good as it gets.
have you given much thought, if any, to like how much of a strength or how important that is in like your ability to go be successful on a Pacific Coast FKT attempt, like
Mm.
using that as a superpower? Because I've come up with a term. I actually came up with it at a West Texas showdown at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I was talking to one of the partners of the guy that was coming in, and I said, "You can't outwork a weak mind." And that
Mm.
really stuck with me because like, and I think it's really
Mm.
highlighted in endurance sports. It doesn't matter how like athletic you are. If you have a weak mind, if you go to like dark places, I just think that it's so beneficial to just keep a positive mental attitude, and you can override some of the aches, the pains, the things that we're all going to experience.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think in especially in this sport, in the ultra endurance style of riding, that mind piece becomes just as, if not, like you said, more powerful than whatever your physical capabilities are. So like that's why when you take, for instance, like who I would consider pretty much the top of the game right now is Justinas.
Mm.
And you take someone
Yeah.
like him who's like obviously he's the beast on the bike, but like there are many beasts on the bike. There's a lot of people who can ride super strong, but you take someone like him who's just like, I've never met him, but from what I've seen, he also maintains this like really kind of relentless, positive, uh gratitude focused ride style. And like that's why he's the best. He's the man. He can get through all of those challenging moments. And it's because not only does he have that physical background or physical capabilities, but he's so positive and like so happy to be there, and just has like a really strong love for the game, it seems. So I think yeah, I think in these endurance sports, that's just like a huge part of the equation to being successful.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love your example of Ustinus. He's a shining example of like maybe the top ultra cyclist in the game right now, and also just has a super laid back, positive attitude. The whole 9 yards. But bringing it back to you, is this something that you think like if you're like taking your toolkit and you're like, yeah, do you think that this is a strength of yours, and do you see it working in real time when you're out there?
I think it probably is a strength of mine. I'm not really conscious of it while it's happening, because it's all just like maybe it's happening quite organically. Like for instance, on the Pacific Coast ride, which I would say
Yeah.
went quite well. I I went into it thinking like, okay, this is gonna be hard, but I knew before I started, I was like, this is gonna be fun. Like I love the coast. This is my first road bike attempt on anything. I've always been riding like gravel and mountain stuff. So I was like, this is just going to be fun. And I was like, maybe I'll even see some people I know, because, I live here on in Santa Barbara area, and I just had fun. I mean, I had so much fun. And so like, that really helped because yeah, I did have some tough things come up, a little bit, and it just got completely overpowered by like the joy, and so
What?
I'm sure that played a part in it going quite well from like an FKT perspective.
Yeah. Uh, yeah. So you answered one of the questions I was going to ask you if this was primarily a road ride, which I kind of thought it most likely was going to be based on like what I could tell from Strava and stuff. So maybe just going fast is fun. Maybe that was part of it. Getting to fly down the
Completely.
Pacific coast.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's so good. I mean, like when I do things like the Tour Divide, I'm pretty much like my average moving speed is I just call it 10 miles per hour. It's pretty much 10. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, but like it's pretty much 10. And then on this ride, I honestly had no clue what it was going to be, and I didn't have like any like I didn't really have many goals of this attempt other than yeah, I wanted to, get the FKT, but I was like I had no idea what I was capable of out there on the road. And then
Hmm.
when I was kind of checking my average speed, I was like, "Oh man, this is pretty sweet," because I'm like putting in the same effort that I'm doing on for, like something like the Tour Divide, but then you're just going like one and a half times the speed, and
Yeah.
it's definitely fun. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love being in the backcountry, love gravel, love mountain biking, but like I also really enjoyed this. This was a really cool experience, and it was
Yeah.
entirely road, entirely paved, like start to finish.
Okay. Were you using like cycling paths and stuff too, or was this just straight up road?
Yeah, I did. At times where it made sense, I was on like designated bike paths, and there's definitely a good few sections like that. And then there's like some stretches that are like when you're coming through the redwoods, you can take this route called the Avenue of the Giants. That should be mandatory for anyone who does this. It's so stunning, and it just parallels the highway. So pretty much the route, and I followed the route almost exactly to the person who did the FKT attempt before me, but it's pretty much like it's as direct as it can be while taking bike paths when it makes sense to. But then sometimes when you're like, if it's a bike path that just kind of goes through like a little touristy area that has a bunch of stops and people walking and stuff like that, maybe it'll stay on the main road instead of that, just to be a little bit more efficient moving through town.
Yeah.
But it was a really good route. I mean, there's not so many different routes you can take if you're going to do the
Yeah.
Pacific Coast. And there's even like the Adventure Cycling Association has their Pacific Coast route, which is pretty much what we followed as well. And yeah, no, it's perfect. It was a really, really great route in my opinion.
So, help me understand and the audience as well. Like you're going for the Pacific Coast FKT. Um, we just learned that there's not one designated route that you have to ride. So the guy that had the FKT before you had a route, you modified it a little bit. What are the rules that like kind of govern, yeah, setting an FKT course and having it be official? Like what are the guidelines
Totally.
there?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I can't even answer this question with certainty because it's something that I'm still figuring out. And I think that in the world of FKTs, there is this kind of like we're all still figuring it out, and maybe we will be forever. I don't know how defined this stuff really is. I think in the running world it's a little bit more defined, but
Yeah.
with bike packing I think the routes are so long and there's just like slight differences and stuff. But I guess essentially I saw that this guy his name is Tyler Pierce. He had done this ride in 2024, and I was kind of keeping an eye on it while it was happening. I was like, oh man, that sounds pretty cool. I was like, I don't know about it being all paved, like I don't know if I'd like that, but um it looks like a cool thing. And so he did his thing. He established an FKT. I don't know if he was the first or if he beat somebody else's or what.
What year
But
was that? Do you
then
know?
2024,
Okay, so
I
not
want to
long ago.
say, yeah, and he did it in 9 days and 13 hours and some amount of minutes.
Okay.
Um, and anyways, when I was looking at doing the FKT, I was kind of doing some research, really looking at his ride, but I also just in Google searching, Pacific Coast FKT, something came up on some website that had a different route, especially in the far north of the coast. It had a totally different route that kind of came through like Portland, and then went out to the coast and stuff like that. So I was kind of thinking, I was like, man, I guess I have a choice here. Like, I guess there's no real rule. Like, if I want to say that I'm going for the FKT and I'm like chasing someone else's time, I should probably follow their route or as close as I can to it, just to be fair to that person. But then at the same time, it's like, him and I we decided to use different rules to govern our effort. You know what I mean? Like, I followed essentially Tour Divide rules, of, no drafting, only, publicly available businesses. I didn't accept food from any of my friends or from anybody, for that matter, who came out. I mean, also, but I did have a bunch of people come out and give me a hug along the way. And it's like, then that's another gray area. It's like, oh, is that support? I don't know. I mean, like, was it awesome to see was it like, a lifetime experience to see all my friends throughout California? Absolutely. Did it boost me mentally? For sure. There's no denying that. Did it slow me down? Also, yes, I would say, because like I'm like stopping to chat and hug, and and then it's hard to leave that situation when you're tired and you see your buddy in some city in California. It's hard to leave and be like, all right, cool. Well, now I'm gonna keep riding like 500 miles or whatever.
Yeah, I can see it both ways. It would be a boost, like once it's over, because you're just like riding on an emotional high. But then you also like stopped. I saw you had somebody dancing. Chris Burkard tracked you down. You had a guy in a horse head that was. I mean, you were just littered with people visiting you. It seemed from social media. But yeah, like it's also gonna slow you down a little.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's both. Maybe it cancels itself out. I mean, how can you quantify that stuff?
Right.
What I can quantify is like, I didn't draft. Like, I didn't ride behind anybody else. Everyone who was coming to visit me knew that I wasn't accepting food, so it wasn't like I didn't have to play that dance of like, oh, that's so kind of you, but like, actually, I'm not. Everyone knew. And so, yeah, I don't know. But then, the guy who who had the FKT before me, had a bit of a different style with that stuff, and like that's totally cool in my opinion. Like, I don't for me, that doesn't change what he did. It's just like he did something, and then I did something, and then someone else is gonna go do something else. And so it's like, that's why I think the term FKT, like, it's just kind of a mysterious world. It's like,
right.
It's so hard to compare experiences. And then, of course, you compare what different weather. And also, for instance, the guy who had it before me, he had to detour around Big Sur because Big Sur, the road was closed, which like happens all the time. And I didn't have to do that. And so
I was saying, when you mentioned like changing routes, I mean, that could be one of the biggest reasons for a route. There could be a fire in an area and you got to go around it, and routes are going to change. And yeah, the FKT term is an interesting term. I was just talking to Maddie Nutt, who got the FKT at the track of 560, but the route seemed like it was quite a bit different than last year. And so how is that in FKT? I don't know, but whatever. I don't really care.
Exactly. Same here.
Yeah,
it's the same thing with the Tour Divide stuff. Like, everyone's going and crushing these Tour Divide records, and then there's always going to be people that are like, oh, but they took this fire reroute, or they whatever. It's just like, dude, I don't think it really matters at the end of the day. It's like, these are just people going out having epic experiences and like pushing super hard. And so that can just be celebrated for what it is,
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that approach. I wanted to double tap on the no hand ups and the food and how that relates to the Tour Divide. What is the rule on a Tour Divide? Because I thought you can't ask for help, but I thought, if someone, you're in the middle of the basin and someone's like, hey, you want a Coke, requested, whatever that word is, that you could take it. Is that
right? Yeah. So I think the official take there is like, let's say there's a trail angel who sets up and is there to offer something to everybody who comes through, then that's totally in the clear. So like, and there are people on the Tour Divide who do that, who will just set up. I mean, there's some iconic folks who will just set up in kind of in the middle of the woods somewhere, that's en route, and they'll be there with like spaghetti. They'll be like have like a huge pot of spaghetti that they're keeping warm for 3 or 4 or 5 days or something like that. And they're up at all hours handing that off to riders that come through. I mean, that sort of thing. That is fair in the race. But then again, and I'm just kind of thinking out loud, but it's like, let's say let's say the entire race gets offered spaghetti in the basin one year, and the next year that person doesn't show up. And now then you already have a difference between these two different, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's so hard to compare things. But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, more specific to the rule, I think if it's like like if you are soliciting it, if you're like flagging someone down, hey, I need food, I need water, do you have anything? That would be against the rules of the Tour Divide. But if it is, especially if it's someone who's like offering food or water to everybody who's coming through, or it's something that's just like so spontaneous and has nothing to do with this person tracking you and wanting to like make you go faster on the route, it's just like some random act of kindness from a stranger. I think that's when you can kind of make a judgment call on what feels right.
Yeah. I think that ultimately a lot of this stuff, I mean, we could get way into the weeds, but at the end of the day, it's going to be individuals making individual decisions, and hopefully they're being a good sports person about it, and keeping the ethos of what they're doing, kind of top of mind. But that's kind of a whole nother conversation. When I saw you were going for the Pacific Coast FKT, I immediately thought, oh, this is a test run, a shakedown ride for the Pan American world record attempt that you are going to be leaving on, that we'll get into. But true or false? Is this a shakedown ride? Was this a test run?
It's so funny. It was definitely planned like that originally. It was like at the beginning of this year when I was making my plans, I was like, okay, I want to do some effort that's like comparable, that's a road effort where I'll have my bike by then, I'll have all my kit, and give it like a test run. And so that was in my mind, it was like, oh yeah, this is a test run. And then pretty much like the week leading up to this Pacific Coast ride, I was like, dude, this is not a test run. This is the real deal. This is a long ride, and I'm going to be giving it everything I've got. So it's like, is that a test run? I mean, it's useful. It's useful going into my July attempt, but it really ended up becoming a thing of its own completely. That I'm really happy about that too, because it's like, when you put all your eggs in one basket, there's so many things that can happen that, are uncontrollable and stuff. And so it's cool to like have done this and had a really good experience with this, and it's its own standalone experience, and like,
for
so
sure. It's not like
a bit of a
overshadowed by, the Pan American Tour. It held its own, had a significant and meaningful place like in your life. Thinking about it as a shakedown ride, at one point you were like, okay, this is going to be kind of a test run for the Pan Am. How closely were you trying to mirror it from like, the bike you're riding, the way you set up your bike? I was looking at your mileage per day and your sleeping, and like, I'm just making assumptions here, but I was like, it almost feels like, I wrote down the numbers. For the first 5 days, you averaged 233 miles a day, 16 hour ride time. That feels like maybe a type of mileage and hours per day that you might want to try to replicate on the Pan Am. But yeah, even thinking about like food and gear and setup and everything, like how much of it were you having in mind as a test run for Pan Am?
In that sense, it really was a test run for the Pan Am, because I pretty much set up my kit as I was like, okay, this is going to be good for the Pacific Coast, but I also think this is going to be my kit for the Pan Am. And I ended up dropping because on the Pan Am, I am going to be bringing a little bit more warmth on this. So on the Pacific Coast ride, right at the start, I kind of dropped like my warm leggings and something else I don't even remember. But everything else was pretty much exactly how I plan on bringing my gear on the Pan Am, and it's definitely the same bike as well. So from a gear perspective, it was pretty much a shakedown, a very true shakedown. And it was good because I've actually learned there are a couple changes I'll be making. And so that was a really good thing to come from it. As far as my riding style on the Pacific Coast versus the Pan Am, there will be some differences there. I do not anticipate holding 230-mile a day average. I mean, on the Pacific Coast, I think my final number was 248 miles per day average, because I did a really big push at the end there, but which was awesome. But like if if I can hold 200 miles per day average on the Pan American, I will be like over the moon excited about that. I
Yeah,
mean, that would be insane. Like that,
that would
even
be
just saying that
crazy.
out loud, just saying that out loud is like a crazy thing. I think anything in this life is possible. So like I don't think it's impossible. I think it's going to be very, very, very challenging. For a number of reasons. Obviously, just the length of it. I mean, it's a nearly 14,000-mile ride. So then there's so many other things that come into play there with like mechanicals, and you're crossing borders, and there's weather is such a huge. I mean, there's so many things that can make that 200 mark difficult. But my mentality, at least when I'm in my mind, I'm like, okay, every day that I start going for a ride on the Pan Am, I want to be pretty stubborn about hitting 200 at all costs, as long as it's not like, I can't be like, I can't be forfeiting sleep every night out there or something like that, because it's just too long. So I'm going to need to figure out my balance of what's sustainable and what's not. On the Pacific Coast, I was pushing it a little bit more than I planned to on the Pan Am. Like on the Pacific Coast, I was definitely taking a couple, like just 3.5, 4 hour sleeps. On the final night, I didn't sleep at all. I just kept riding. So it kind of became its own. It became its own beast. But yeah, on the Pan Am, I mean, it's all about longevity, And then if I get to the final 5 days of that, and somehow I'm like feeling good and my bike's good and this and that, and it sounds fun to kick it up a notch, then heck yeah, for sure, I would like totally fly down to Patagonia. but that's a long ways away.
Yeah, yeah. But I love what you said about just keeping an open mind. Anything's possible. I think that's so important. Like, don't put like blockers and limits in your own mind. Just like go in with an open mind, and anything is possible. Like I think that's such a great approach. And I remembered a question I wanted to ask you. I jumped ahead, but I thought that this was important to include in the conversation of your Pacific Coast FKT attempt. Well, successful run. Um, I read that something that was important to you was that you did it in a way that was like repeatable to other people and like fair to other people, to the degree that you could. You can't affect that people are going to come up and give you a hug and stuff like that. But I thought maybe you could talk to like that, that as a mechanism to like define your ride, and how important that was to you.
Yeah, that was important to me. And I think that kind of goes in line with what we were talking about earlier with, what rules you want to follow and things like that. It's because I'm like, I live on the Pacific Coast. So if I go and do this ride, and, I'm quite well connected along the coastline. And so I could go down the coast and have this experience where like, I almost don't, I'm exaggerating here, but it's like, I almost wouldn't have to stop at a grocery store, if I was
Yeah.
like, hey, everyone, I'm doing this ride. Like, if you happen to have burritos, please bring them along, and I'll be forever grateful. Like, people are so kind, and people love to be involved, and so I could see people taking me up on that, which is just insane to even imagine as a possibility. But then I was like, well, then if someone comes from a different country or the East Coast or whatever, and wants to give this FKT a crack, it just wouldn't be fair. They wouldn't have the same opportunity to do it. So I think that was a big part of the reason why I wanted to establish that rule beforehand, where I was like, okay, I'm just going to do this tour divide style, which is like, just publicly available, everything, hotels if you want to do it, or campgrounds or gas stations, whatever, so that anyone can come and give it a crack. Because yeah, I mean, isn't that's kind of like the joy of all of this stuff, is it's just like guaranteed there's someone. In fact, I know there's a guy out of Oregon who's going to be giving the FKT a crack in June, and I'm sure that like I'm sure some other people saw what I did and they're like, oh my God, like that looked cool, but I bet I can go faster. And I hope people are thinking that. And I know that people definitely can go faster, you know, and I think that it's just like a very positive thing. One thing though is I'm like, I really hope that like it would be extra cool to me if people could see this style of ride and maybe if that, 250 mile a day mark is like not within someone's wheelhouse, it would be so cool if people were still encouraged to like go out there and just like give it a crack if that's the way they want to experience it, because also there's the magical way to experience it over the course of like 2 months, just like
Yeah.
that's how you really win. But like I just think that like it shouldn't be like, oh, because I think I had met somebody who was super kind person who was like, oh man, I was like thinking about giving that FKT a crack, but like now, now there's no way or something like that. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that's really kind. That's like a support, like a kind thing to say, I guess. And I think that was the intention. But in my mind, I was like, I don't want to like take away that experience from anybody either. So
Yeah.
like I think that it's like your personal FKT, like isn't that's kind of
Yes.
just as important. That's just as important, right? It's like so I think, yeah, I don't know. In my mind, in this sport, everything should be just encouraging rather than like exclusive or something like that.
Yeah, no, so important. I've said this on the podcast, but I have a tendency. I try to talk to people that cross the spectrum of bike packing and bike touring, right? But inevitably, the storylines that are kind of the most exciting and the ones that I share the most, and a lot of people do, are the people who went the fastest, came in first place, did the kind of the crazy extreme end of the sport, but what I always try to turn it around as is like that is just inspiration. That is a
Mhm.
mechanism for you to get inspired by what somebody else did, but yeah, not as a mechanism for you to like downplay your own abilities or whatever. Cause my daughter and I went for a 2 mile ride yesterday, right? She's 9 years old. And
Yeah.
she was like, what's your next ride you're going on, Daddy? And I'm like, oh, it's 69 miles. And she's like, oh, I could never do that. I'm like, that's not, speaking of keeping an open mind, no, like the thing is, Sloan, like everybody started with 1 mile and then they rode 2 miles and then they rode 10 and 20. And, some people just don't stop, but like, yeah, keep your mind open,
Wow.
man. And what you said, your own personal FKT, that is the sweet spot. That's your sweet spot.
Mhm.
Like use other people and like what they're doing as motivation and stoke and like what is possible. But at the end of the day, it's like you got to be riding for you, man. Like go find your own joy, find your speed, do it for you.
100%. Absolutely. Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
Yeah, good stuff, man. What bike did you ride? I saw on Strava just I think it wasn't even long ago, maybe a month ago or something. You said new bike day. I assume that's the bike you got. So what were you rocking?
Yeah. Yeah, it was even less than a month ago was when I got it. Dude, I'm super blessed, man. I'm riding this like insanely sweet Trek Domane. But it's an unreleased, it's an upcoming version of it. So that's actually why I've been
Oh.
so yeah, so it's really cool and exciting. I'm keeping parts of the bike a little secretive, as per, what they want. And it's so that's like really cool for me.
That's
I'm like,
fun,
wow,
yeah.
I can't believe I get to be I'm like testing out this like super epic thing. But yeah, essentially it's just like the Domani is Trek's endurance style road bike.
Yeah.
And so it really seems to strike a sweet spot between being, obviously like it is like a total top of the line, like carbon, fast, light carbon bike, but it really has this like endurance geometry. That for me, I was nervous about, just from I ride a Trek Super Caliber, which is like a full suspension bike, and that's what I ride for everything. And it's the only bike I've ridden for a couple years now, and I love it. So I was like, man, I'm going to be going from that to like riding a road bike. It's probably going to be a little brutal on my body and stuff like that. But I
Mm-hmm.
think this, at least I can speak to this bike. It's like, it's actually still so comfortable. And I think that it's just a lot of that is credit to the, you know, the geometry and having big old tires on there and stuff like that. So yeah, I just absolutely loved it.
That's awesome. My first bike packing trip I did on a Trek Domane. It was not a bike packing bike, and I took it on a gravel. It was like I think I squeezed like 28C tires on there. I went on a gravel bike packing trip on it, but it was the bike that I had, and it worked great. That also answers, I think, a curiosity of mine. When I was researching this episode, I was trying to find photos of like your setup, right? Like, you know, trying to get an idea of like how light you might be going. Were you on a road bike? But I couldn't get good beta from the internet, so that was intentional. And even your new bike day Strava was just not a photo of your bike; it was a picture of your hamburger. So yeah, Trek, he's doing a good job keeping it secret.
Thanks, dude. It's actually so hard because like it's so beautiful, and I want to show it off, and my setup, you know, even more so than the bike, all the bags and stuff. Like it's all really sweet stuff, and so I'm like, obviously, I want to show the world, but yeah, I'm being patient, and it's all good. It'll come out and be really sweet.
Just give it a rating. How about that? You can't tell us about the bike, but how would you rate the bike on this ride,
dude? Okay, I mean, I'm gonna just be completely honest here, and I will also say that like my dad calls me Mr. Superlative because I'm one to like always think that everything is the best, but dude, this thing's a 10. It really is. Like they've asked me, especially once I did this FKT, they were like, you know, great job. Where do you see improvements to be made? And I was like really thinking about it, and I was like, dude, I'm trying to be critical, but I've got nothing. Like this thing is freaking sweet. It's so perfect, at least for what I'm doing. And I know that what I'm doing is pretty niche in the world of cycling, and it's definitely not why they're making this bike. They're not making this bike so people can like strap bags and go ride for, you know, a week straight. But for what I'm doing, this thing is just, it's like totally just the best. So
also, I mean, it's a really great use case for them, you know, our bikes can do that too. Okay, cool. Check.
Yeah.
I'm interested. I'll just keep my eyes peeled because they came out with that new, I think, like Cross Point or Cross Check or whatever that has it's similar to, what's the name of your mountain bike? What is the top fueled?
Super Caliber.
The Super Cal. Where it has the suspension, the rear suspension integrated into the top tube of the bike, and so we'll leave it. We'll wait to see what comes out.
Yeah, I love it, dude. I love just all like the bike industry right now. There's just, and I guess it's been like this for a while, but I just love seeing people get creative. You know, and like I'm sure when you were at Sea Otter, I can only imagine that you're seeing all those like 32-inch bikes and all this crazy
that's
stuff.
That's the new jam.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. You know,
it is great.
I think it's really cool. My one thing that I always try and like remind myself, and I hope that other people remember this, is like, just because there's all of this new creative, cool stuff coming out, it doesn't mean that you need all of the things. You know, like. There's definitely still, it's like whatever bike you have is perfect.
100%.
You don't need all of these things, but of course it is just cool to see the industry grow and see like the options, and I don't know. It's
also
fun. It's fun stuff.
It's trickled down, man. All that technology, like you don't need it today, but like in 5 years from now, maybe you can afford it, or you know, it'll like trickle down into other parts of the bike industry. So you know, you don't have to run out and buy the most expensive bike on day one, and also you don't freaking need it. I'm giving my 2011 Salsa Fargo some love. Like it doesn't even have through axles, right? It's quick release. I got it set up single speed. It's been in my like my toolkit or my bike shed for a long time, and it's just kind of like been put together, and like it just gets like the swap meet parts, like whatever's laying around, like I just throw on there. But I'm giving that bike some love, and it's a great bike. I mean, it's like 15 years old, and I fucking love riding that bike, and we've been amazing places and done great things. And yeah, any bike you have is fine. And also, it's fun to geek out about the new stuff. It's all good.
Of course, yeah, it
It's
is all good.
all good. Yeah, we touched on this a little bit. But we're not gonna completely break it down, but it took you, well, actually, let's throw out your numbers. 6 days, 15 hours, 53 minutes are the numbers you posted online for your time. Woo, 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 which is freaking smoking, dude. Absolutely smoking. But what stood out to me, I broke down, actually you did. I didn't do it. You did it. You posted your Strava, your day 1 through 6 Strava on Instagram. And I mentioned your day 1 through 5 stats, but your last day you did a push of 492 miles in 32 hours and 24 minutes. And so again, I am just creating narratives in my head. I think you're fucking awesome. I was following along like a maniac, and I'm thinking about the Pan Am world record attempt, and I'm like, okay, it seems like he was like locked into the plan, 200 something miles a day, 16 hours a day, and then you got to the end and you were like, all right, let's see what's left in the legs, and you just kind of went balls out. But yeah, I mean, what was it for you? Tell us the real story.
Yeah, it was something like that. I would say that the all those days leading up to it, they weren't like I'm not to say I couldn't, but it would be challenging to keep that up for a very long period of time because I was cutting into the reserves there a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
So like for instance, when I woke up in Monterey to do that final push, I didn't know I would be doing that final push when I woke up there. But I woke up feeling, pretty worked. I think I had only I'd gotten into Monterey at like 1 or 2 in the morning, and I didn't get a ton of sleep there. I probably got maybe 4 hours of sleep or something like that, and then got up and was not feeling great at all. I was like, my legs were sore, I was hurting, and just like I remember just the feeling of even going to the bathroom. I was like, dude, I like can't even motivate myself to go to the bathroom, even though I need to do that right now. And so I was just like hurting. And then, little by little, you just like, you put on your kit, you just you force yourself to start doing the things. And then like you get on the saddle and you start going and you start eating. I think eating is like the really important thing.
Hmm.
And then I kind of started feeling good. And then I was like in Big Sur and having just so much fun. I mean, it was gorgeous. And I was just starting to get some tailwind and stuff like that. And then one thing led to another. And then I was like just feeling good that whole day. I was pushing pretty hard. And then at the very end of that day, it was probably around 1 o'clock in the morning was when I was about to pass through where I live, like where I am right now. And in my town's called Goleta, but it's right by Santa Barbara. And I was like cruising in at 1 in the morning, and I was like, dude, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, are you gonna sleep in your bed?" I was like, dude, hell no. First of all, like, that would completely go against the rules that I've set for myself,
Yeah.
entirely. But also, how hard would that be if I came to my home and like saw my bed and all my comfortable things, and then was like, nope, gotta go ride, 300 more miles now. Like, no way. So I
Yeah.
didn't even look. I didn't even look. Like my house is actually right on route. And I just didn't. I like pretty much put the blinder up and I just kept going.
I
But
was
I was
gonna
just
ask you
like
about this because how close were you? You said I was watching your stories. I think you said like less than a half mile or a quarter. Like
way less.
you were like
I'm
right
like
there.
I'm like on the route. Like anyone who's doing the Pacific Coast, like it's still cool because I get to see all the bike tours all the time. But like anyone who's doing the Pacific Coast route rides within like a tenth of a mile of my house. Like you just make one turn and you're riding for like 20 seconds and then you're at my house.
Yeah, that's brutal, man.
Yeah, I know.
Blinders,
I
go.
know.
All
Yeah,
right.
blinders for sure. And also passing through the night was a good thing because like, I've got such an awesome community here. And if I was rolling through on like a Saturday morning or something like that, dude, it would have taken me hours to get through.
Yeah.
And with so much love and gratitude, but it's like, they're just I imagine there would have been, a bunch of my close buddies coming out to chat and ride along and stuff like that, which would have been cool too. But I came through like in the dead of night. I don't like it was just awesome. It was like silent. It was my most familiar place ever. And that kind of gave me another wind. And so like all the riding I did through the night was on like stuff that I ride all the time, just in my training and in my, for fun rides and stuff like that. So, and then next thing you know, like the sun was coming up and I was like, all right, dude, this is it. We're just like pushing. And then I was crunching numbers and I was like, I guess I'm within a day's ride to the border. So we're just doing this thing. We're just going
Yeah.
like Monterey to Mex was the final push. And it
Monterey
was
to
so
Mex.
cool. Monterey to Mex. Yeah. It was so
Strava
good.
said that was your longest ride, single ride, obviously not cumulative. Do you think that's accurate?
Yeah, I was thinking about that too. And it's funny when with these ultra things, it's like how do you define when one ride becomes two or something? It's
Yeah.
like in theory, it's like, the Tour Divide is one massive ride. And like I've done pushes at the end of the Tour Divide that maybe are even longer than 500 miles. Um, but if I stopped and closed my eyes for, 45 minutes and I stopped my GPS, then it becomes two rides. And so it's like it's kind of hard to say, but
Yeah.
I think I can accurately say that that was my longest distance ride without stopping at all other than like to get food and stuff.
Yeah. How
Yeah.
did that feel? I mean, was that pretty fucking badass? And also, like, I think it's important to like give yourself those like mental check marks and be like, oh, wow, I can do that. Like at the end of 5 days, pushing hard, little sleep, going fast, to be able to pump out a ride like that at the end, I think has to be like a good, positive mental boost. And also like legitimate, like check in with yourself physically and like, oh yeah, I'm here. Or maybe you're wrecked
Yeah.
at the end and you're like, oh fuck.
I am. Yeah, no, it's definitely a very positive thing. Like I'm super stoked on being able to do it, and it didn't feel dangerous at all either, which was cool because like again, riding on roads, doing long efforts like this on the road is a new thing for me. So I was like, oh, what I don't know about like introducing like sleep deprivation and riding with traffic and stuff like that. Like that doesn't sound like a good idea at all. And so I was like really honest with myself, and I was like, if I start snoozing at the wheel, like stop riding, but it just didn't happen.
Nice.
And so there was one time like on the afternoon of the second day, I was like in, almost near San Diego, and I started to get like really fatigued, and so I just stopped. Thankfully, there was a 7-Eleven right there. Like, shouts out 7-Eleven. That's my jam. And so like I hit the 7-Eleven and like just laid down like horizontal at the 7-Eleven for I don't know, like 4 or 5 minutes probably. And that's all I needed. And then I was like totally good. But um yeah, that was that definitely gave me a lot of confidence being able to throw that down at the end of that ride. And I was pushing all throughout that ride leading up to it as
Mhm.
well. I mean, all that stuff in Oregon and all, I mean, it was all like a push. And then being able to throw that down at the end was awesome. And I felt great doing it. And like my final 70 miles were ripping. I was like, once I had 75 miles left, I was like, all right, dude, like no more gas in the tank, like just let it all out there. And so I was just like totally cooking. And it felt great. But then for sure, once I hit the border and then, my buddies were there and my mom was there, and like there was like that super high, the celebration and stuff like that. And then once that was all over, I was I was a wreck for sure. I was just like I was a lump, I was just like, yeah, I was donezo for sure. But I think it's because then my body knew that it was
Right.
time to relax. Then
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
had I another day to ride, I'm sure I would have been able to do it.
Dude, what is
But
that mechanism? I want to know like what
yeah,
is that about like our body when it knows it's okay to stop? Like cuz I think it goes two ways. One, like a lot of endurance athletes will say this and it feels
yeah,
like a lot of people are like trying to, you kind of like need to warm up to get like remind your body and your brain. It's like, oh no, we're fucking going. And then once your
yeah.
body and your brain get on the program, it's amazing that it can kind of stay on that program until you stop and then it all like catches up with you. But like, what is that, man? It's
I
crazy.
have no idea. I have no idea, dude. Yeah, that it is insane.
The
It's just
human
like
animal,
mind
man.
tricks, dude. Yeah, I
Yeah,
know.
I think we're
It's crazy.
endurance animals, man. Like we have the ability to just go.
I agree with that.
Let's talk about fueling this experience. You had some funny stuff on Instagram that we'll get to, but I thought an interesting question would be, like, what do you start, like, in your bag, in your kit, when you're starting a big event like this? Obviously, you're refueling as you go, but what do you start with? And then we'll get into like how you fuel your ride.
Dude, when I started that ride at the border, me and my brother, and my friend who lives in Bellingham, Rachel, we had gotten pizza the night before. And so I started that ride with just a bunch of like pizza shoved into my bike.
Okay.
Honestly, yeah, like nothing crazy. I just had, and I was eating pizza like in the car on the way to the border. I mean, real food, I guess, is the answer, that I'm coming to. It's like I had pizza. I had a couple frozen burritos that I had bought and thrown in my bike. I had some like candy bars and stuff like that. Um, I pretty much just did a resupply, as if I
Okay.
was doing a resupply mid ride. I just did like a full resupply. But I guess I will say, like, I carried way too much food, or I should say way more food than I needed. I don't know if that's too much, because it's always good to have more food than, like, you
Yeah.
always want more food rather than less food. So I just had a bunch of food. And then actually I remember, like, some of the stuff I did have one or two. I always carry one or two like regular bars, like typical bars that I don't love eating. I think at this point I've just eaten so many of those things that, like, I'll opt for anything else other than
Yeah.
them. But then, I started the ride with those, and then when I was riding to the border at the very end, I saw them in my bike, and I was like, dude, I might as well finish these now. So I had like carried a couple bars, the entire length of the Pacific coast, and then just ate them, yeah, at the end, just because. But
I know the reason
yeah.
why is because everybody hates pulling. I just like unpack Doom. Like, I'm 6 weeks past Doom and I'm like still pulling shit off my bike, getting ready to go to Arkansas next weekend, and like I'm pulling out snacks. I'm like, yeah, I didn't eat all those. I guess I'll take this to Arkansas. Like, yeah. Yeah. It's
Right,
all,
and you're gonna
why
bring them
did
to
I take
Arkansas?
this? Yeah, of course. Yeah. I took
Yeah.
yeah. I took them across Arkansas once. I might as well do it again, you know?
Exactly. It's like you might even have those same bars, and then you're gonna take them all throughout Arkansas, and then at the end and be like, dude, all right, these bars are coming to California, baby.
Yeah, yeah.
these
They
bars
just
are
might be my
just
snacks. But I am,
yeah.
to your point, I do overpack with the food, and yeah, food and water, I just don't, there's no reason. It's not that much weight. I You never know if you're like, something could happen, you could be stranded somewhere, and so I try not to take like way extra food, but on Doom, I definitely packed my fears a little bit on that one. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
happens.
And I think that's totally okay thing to do. And like, what
Yeah.
a privilege, right? Like, I always think about that too. It's like, if you are, I mean, most likely, like, I guess I can just speak for myself. Like, if I go hungry on a bike packing trip, it's not because I am unable to get that food that I need. It's because I planned poorly. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, yeah.
You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So I don't know. It's just like the amount of food. It's like all of this stuff requires eating so much food, which is like, commonly said, like, oh, it's part of the job and this and that. But it's like, that is true. But dude, it's such a privilege too. I mean, like, not to
Oh
take a
yeah.
completely different turn here, but like, dude, man, people,
What a
food is
great
just
problem to have.
yeah, like, food is just a blessing, and so to be able to like choose, oh, do I want to like have this much food or less food and this and that, it's like, as a choice. I mean, it's definitely good to take a step back and just realize that we're just having fun on bikes, and like choosing how much
Amen.
food we want to bring. It's insane.
Yeah, no, another
Yeah.
great important mental perspective to keep with you when you're out there doing hard things. It's fun and it's a privilege to be out there. All right, I wrote this down somewhere. Let's see. I want to get this right. Refueling strategy. Yes. Okay. I just
Oh
got a
no.
kick at
Oh
it.
no.
You know where I'm going. Yeah, your
I think so.
exclusive endurance sports nutrition tips, hot from Dirty Dan on the Pacific Crest or Pacific Coast. All right, what was it? Do you remember what they were? Do you remember what your exclusive endurance sport nutrition tips were?
I
Pop
do.
quiz. All right, hit
Oh,
me. Hit me. What were they?
dude. Oh my God, dude, this is so funny because this was just like my tired mind being like, "Oh, I'm so funny."
I love it.
Okay,
No, it's
it
good
was
shit. I got a kick out of it. It worked.
okay. So the first one, definitely hot dog, the superfood.
Yeah.
Antioxidants. What else did I say? Vitamin C. I forget. I
I
forget
wish I
exactly.
wrote down everything you said, but yeah, I mean it was
Yeah.
like the superfood for endurance athletes.
Yeah, superfood. Hot dogs, total superfood, pretty much take you through anything. And then the one I really liked was the sour gummy worms were a painkiller because I was like, you could have pain, you could have all sorts of pain in your body, knee pain, rashes, any type of pain or discomfort. And if you just house a full bag of sour gummy worms like really quickly, it makes you so uncomfortable in your stomach that all the other pain goes away because it's like all you can think about is how shitty you feel in the stomach. Oh,
Oh,
that
that's
was
so
funny.
good.
That was funny. And then I think I had another one that was like the Oreo Muddy Buddies because dude,
Yes.
I ate so many of those on this ride and like I don't those ones are just like high calorie, high crunch. They go great with milk, just like a
Yeah.
solid endurance fuel.
Well, you didn't put this
Yeah.
on your stories, but I mean, you're known for milk. I think I did see on one of your stories that you dumped. No, this you definitely did. I remember you dumped a fucking half gallon of milk into your water bottle. So were you mixing the Oreos with the milk? Like what do you have going on
Totally.
there? Yeah.
Absolutely. I do the milk in the bottle thing all the time. I think for obviously like I also do care about hygiene, and so like what I'll do that I'll pour like a gallon between all my bottles or a half gallon into a bottle or something like that. And you can't leave that go all day, right? It's like, for instance, like sometimes I'll refill my water bottles with water and then I'm just carrying a liter of water that I don't touch for like multiple days. Sometimes I'm just carrying all this dead weight because you're not in a rush to drink it because it's just water. So
Mm.
when I fill all my bottles with milk, first of all, I love it. Like I love the way it tastes and the way it makes me feel. But then also I'm like encouraged to drink it. Like I'm not gonna like be drinking that milk 2 days later, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think that's what like grosses some people out. So I'm
Yeah.
like, then once I fill all my bottles with milk, I'm like steady hydrating for the next like 2 hours. I'm just like crushing all of that. And then rinsing the bottles through with water and stuff like that. But yeah, like I think it's a great way to get liquid calories are just a good thing.
Yeah.
And whether milk obviously doesn't like settle well for everybody. Um, but like however you can ingest liquid calories, I think is a really good way to get that in the system. For me, it's milk.
Yeah, I don't know anybody else that has ever poured milk into their water bottle, but I'm sure you're not the only one. But that might be a pro move. A little bit
Dude,
of breakfast.
Sophion did
Do
it.
you?
I remember watching a video of him on the Tour Divide one time, and he took it to the next level. That guy was putting chocolate milk in his bladder, like in his like
Oh my
camelback bladder.
god!
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh, dude, that's my guy. Like that's
And
my
you know
hero
he's
right
not
there.
washing that out. He's just like adding to
No,
it, you know.
just adding, just adding. Yeah, totally.
Oh, what a
So yeah,
concoction!
I mean, you know,
All right, so
yeah.
a little. This is kind of funny, kind of tongue in cheek, but from a real uh, how closely does this represent your like refueling strategy when you go, for this effort and just in general, maybe hot dogs, some sweets, like what are you grabbing?
Yeah, it's pretty much spot on. I mean, I love hot food when I can, and it doesn't need to be like big sit down meals. It's like a hot dog will do the trick, or like like some gas station pizza or whatever will do the trick. But like hot food is always on my mind when I'm doing a resupply. If I can like get that quick, that's the ideal. So it's always going to be like hot food, some like candy-ish type stuff to go, and then just drinks that have calories, whether it's milk or whatever Gatorade type stuff. That's pretty typical for me. And so I know, like for instance, going in on Pan American, I'm like it's such a long ride, and so there's so many different places I'll be passing with different food, but I'll be trying to like it's gonna be taco fest for sure. Like I'm gonna be eating tacos as much as I can because I know if I can sit down and just have like a ton of tacos, then I'm gonna be able to ride for many many hours until the next taco spot.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
yeah.
oh, go ahead. Did you have anything else on that?
No, I guess just to say that like for me it's really all about real food and I don't use like any of the gels or goos or like sports nutrition like actual sports nutrition stuff because I don't train with it either, so it's like it's just not really part of my it's not part of my practice.
Yeah.
Like I just stick to the other everything else.
I've
Yeah.
never been able to get into like the gels and the hydration mixes. I actually tried it for the first time at Doom, and again that was like I think I drank one or two of them, like the whole thing. But I just want the real food. Like that's what works for
Yeah.
me, and other people are able to power their rides on just freaking drinking their efforts, which is wild. But all right, let's shift gears to sleeping. I'm curious about
Mm,
what your sleep strategy was. I also think it's worth mentioning that you popped your brand new bibby on night one. So how awesome was
dude.
that?
That
Welcome to your trip.
sucks. Oh my God, dude. Yeah. So I had this like awesome first day. I had gotten in, yeah, like 200, almost 280 miles on the first day. And I had ridden from the border with Canada to the border with Oregon. So I crossed Washington on the first day and it wasn't even super late. It was midnight or something like that when I hit the Oregon border and I had all this fire in my soul. I was like, dude, I'm gonna ride through the first night. Like I'm gonna ride through the first night. I'm gonna go just like smash through, smash through. And then I was like, all right, like take a second. This is a long ride. Get some sleep. So I was like trying
Huh.
to make the smart decision of like, might as well get some sleep and set yourself up for the rest of the ride. And dude, so I like laid down my bivy, found a nice little grass thing like right on the border, right next to this awesome bridge you cross to get into Oregon. Um, and I lay down on it, and just immediately the thing is flat. I like inflated my pad or whatever. I have a sleeping bag. Like I brought a full sleep kit, so sleeping bag, sleeping pad, bivy, warm little booties, like beanie, everything to be comfortable. And I lay down on the thing, and it's just immediately flat. And so I'm like, pumping it up while I'm still on it. You just kind of like go crazy. I'm like, what the hell? Like that can't, I almost didn't even believe it because it was my first night sleeping on the pads. It was brand new.
And
So
you
I
had
was like,
tested it
dude, this thing,
before and knew that it held air and everything, or no? Yeah.
nah. I
Yeah.
mean, dude, I trusted it. It was a brand new pad. Like,
Yeah. Do you
so
have any idea what,
yeah, I
like, do you
mean,
think it got poked in your bag? Like, do you have any idea what happened?
I think because I ended up patching it, it had two punctures. What happened, I think, was just I don't know. It's not just unlucky. I could have been probably a little bit more selective, but I think like the very first place where I slept, there must have been some thorns,
Hmm.
and I must have just popped it immediately on like the
Yeah.
first lie down,
Oh
and
man,
so
that's rough. That happened to
yeah,
me on the
it
AZT
sucked.
first night. My freaking air mattress. I was like, well, I guess I'm sleeping on the dirt then, you know?
Right? And like if it were to happen like a few nights in, by that point you're so tired that
Right, it
like you
doesn't
can pretty
matter.
much sleep on anything. But the first night, I don't know.
It's
Not
rough. That's rough,
it
man.
would have been awesome. It would have been awesome if it wasn't popped because I just like then laid there for, however long it was, 4 or 5 hours, just like kind of in and out of sleep, but mostly out of sleep and just wishing that my pad wasn't popped, just like
Yeah,
and
and it's
so
not just
and then I
that
was like,
night,
oh
it's
my
like
God,
the
I should
mental fuckery of like the next 4 or 5 nights too. It's like, fuck, man.
exactly. Exactly. Obviously I'm thinking like, oh my God, I should have just ridden through the night. Like that would have been way more productive than just like
This
laying here
bullshit.
awake. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I don't know. In the
So
grand scheme of things, not that big of a deal, but
oh, I mean, it's a bummer. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, especially if it's a
Yeah.
brand new sleep kit, like it's good to have a positive mental attitude and you got to turn that around, but also that sucks.
Yeah.
Both
Yeah.
both
It
things
sucked.
can
It
be
sucked.
true.
Yeah.
So how did that impact your sleep strategy? Did you have a sleep strategy going in? Were you like, I'm gonna try to bank X number of hours, or like what? Yeah, just take us through your approach to that.
Yeah, my strategy, I guess, going in, like I very intentionally carried, well, the same sleep kit that I plan on bringing on Pan American. So I was like, I'm bringing a full sleep kit. And so my intention with that is like I can just ride as much as I want to ride, and when I decide I want to stop, like I'll be getting real sleep. As opposed to, for instance, on the Tour Divide, I've in the past couple of years, I've started to like, you kind of cut back on sleep kit, and it's like kind of a gamble, but then you find the places. Anyways, on this one, I was like, my goal going into it was like, I want to sleep outside almost every night of this trip. Because like that's bike touring style too, right? It's like you're sleeping outside. It's like really only on these like super fast races is when I'll, mix in the motels and stuff like that. And so I was like, man, with this trip, like I'm looking to go fast, but I'm really looking to have this like bike touring style adventure. And so like I want to just sleep outside every night. But then that first night happened with my pop pad, and I was like, dude, I can't do that again. Like I can't just like have a second night in a row with no sleep. So then I
Yeah.
opted for a motel on that second night as well. Where I then like repaired my pad and stuff like that. But yeah, I ended up I didn't have really an intention before the trip of like how much I was going to sleep every night. I think my goal was to just listen to my body with that and just kind of like see what felt right. But I did have the intention of sleeping outside almost every night, and it ended up being a 50-50 split where I did motels half the nights and then outside half the nights. And part of that was because, yeah, the pad at the beginning. And so I needed a motel for that second night. And then part of it was just because I ended up setting this kind of goal every night of hitting 240 miles. And like every night when I was finishing that 240-mile stretch, it was just like perfectly dead set in the middle of a town with a bunch of motels. So I was like, dude, like I can try and go camp out in like the park in town or something like that, and like have like kind of like a on edge sleep, or I can just get this motel and like knock out. So I ended up doing that a little bit more than I planned on. But and then the final night, of course, was just a ride through the night, which is awesome. But
What was the
yeah,
craziest place you slept, if any? Did you have any wild? Yeah. I mean, I guess you only probably had 3 nights that you slept outside, or maybe only two.
two. Yeah, so it was two outside and then one riding, I guess, and start sleeping. And then three inside. No, the places were pretty mellow. I mean, the Pacific Coast, it's like, it's obviously quite a developed stretch of land. And so it's like if you're not in the middle of a town, you're pretty much in like there's like campgrounds everywhere and stuff like that. So I did my first night, I slept kind of like pretty rogue, just like on a patch of grass on the side of the road. But then the other night I slept, I was actually at a campground. Dude, I've gotten too comfortable with this, but like I did sleep inside of the like pit toilet. Dude, I wasn't planning on it. And like I got to this campground, and I had set up like in a campground spot. I got there at like midnight or 1 in the morning. And I'm like set up with my bivy and everything. I just had a campsite. And then I was just going to the bathroom, and I go in there, and there's like, first of all, it's like 10 degrees warmer off the bat. And there's like outlets and like a little drying rack and, all this stuff, and like a nice sink. And it was super clean. And I was like, dude, I'm only going to be here for like 3 or 4 hours. I'm just going to, and there was tons of bathrooms. It wasn't like,
Yeah,
I'm
you
obviously
weren't the
very
only
conscious.
one.
It's like, I'm not gonna like lock myself in the one bathroom and then have people needing to use the rest. Like, no, not even close. There weren't that many people camping there. Plus, there was like 6 bathrooms all adjacent to each other. I was just in one of them, and I was like, dude, this is gonna be pretty nice. And so it was excellent. It's like I'm charging all my stuff and whatever. It was
Dude,
great.
I freaking love it. That's the bike packers hotel room right there. That's the real hotel room for bike packers.
It
That
is,
is
dude.
so
It really is.
that is just such a good quintessential bikepacking story. Like you have a campsite, we're all outdoors people, but like man, all those creature comforts of a bathroom sure are nice.
Super nice. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Love the great outdoors. Love sleeping outside, but it's that warmth, dude. Like that added warmth that you get from being inside. Oh man,
Oh
it's a
man,
big difference.
I'm with
Yeah.
you. All right. Well, I'm really excited to get into your Pan American ride, but let's tie a little bit of a bow on the Pacific Crest ride. What I read, I got the sense from just following your journey, you got pretty emotional maybe towards the end of it. Yeah,
Mm.
just maybe what were your takeaways? Like what was going through your mind as you finished this ride, and even now reflecting on it, what are some of your biggest takeaways or highlights that really stuck with you?
Mm. I think especially, having finished that ride with California, which is my home state, I got this extreme sense of community on that ride, more so than I've gotten on other rides because I'm usually, riding in places that are less familiar to me. But on this one, I just finished that ride and I was like, oh my God, like we are all so like we all love each other so much, and like we're just such a team. And so that was emotional for me, especially towards the end. I mean, when I was like seeing people down in Newport and San Diego and things like that, and coming out to say hi, I was just like, dude, this is insane. Like, I cannot believe people are taking time out of their day to just come and like
Yeah.
give me a hug and see me ride by. So that was a crazy, completely unexpected part of this ride. I was expecting that maybe in Santa Barbara, and then
Mm.
it happened, like all over. And so that was a big deal for me to see how much. And these aren't like almost. I mean, some of them, yes, but for the majority, they're not like my biking friends.
Mm.
These were just like my buddy, like some buddies from high school or buddies from college that I know completely separately from biking. So for all these people to come and see me in my like doing my thing, like my passion, it was just really cool because like so often these things are alone or like, I'm just surrounded by other, crazy cyclists and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And so that was really, really special to have my final few days of this trip just like surrounded by my people, not just my cycling people. Um, that was really cool, and then like and also just the route itself. Like I have toured this route a number of times. And actually my first real bike tour, like my big one that started it off, that you and I actually spoke about on our first episode, or the first episode that I joined you for, was my ride from Santa Barbara down to Colombia. And that was like when
Hmm.
when me and my buddy Quincy, we took off right after college, and guitars on the bikes, and like we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We didn't know how to change a flat tire, all of that stuff. And we rode from Santa Barbara, to Tijuana was the first like leg. I mean, it took us like, I don't know, a week probably or more. Um, and I just like completely retraced that path. And so like obviously when I was riding through, I was just completely had that in my mind. I was like remembering all of those really early moments of bike packing for me, and what that was like, and then just like coming through again in a totally different way, but like still maintaining that love and that joy for the bike packing itself. But now I'm like blazing through, through the night on like a rocket ship bike and stuff like that. It was insane. And there's this climb. It's a short climb. It's like a 400, 500 foot climb maybe, when you get to San Diego, that takes you up to La Jolla. And when Quincy and I did it on our first ride, we got to the top of the climb and we were like, dude, we might not be cut out for this whole bike packing thing. Like that was super hard. Like, how are we going to get to South America? Like that was really, really hard. And we always laugh back to that moment. And then, dude, I'm going up that climb on this one, I'm like 450 miles in by the time I'm doing it on the ride. And I'm like sprinting up the climb. And who's at the top of the climb waiting to give me a hug but Quincy?
No fucking
Like my
way.
yeah,
Holy
dude.
shit,
Yeah.
dude. Did he
It
was
was
that strategic,
insane.
obviously? Like to be
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
top of
he
that
does.
hill? Dude.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Because that's a hill we talk about. It's like we always look back on it like, oh my God, remember that was like our first climb of the whole trip and we thought we were toast. It's
Wow.
like I get to the top of that hill, and I was in that mindset. And I told you like my last 75 miles I was cooking. And so like I got to the top of that hill and I was just like out of the saddle, just like freaking tearing it up. And then like Quincy was up there screaming at me, like, you know, it was just like, it was totally emotional. Yeah,
Dude,
totally
Quincy,
emotional.
that's a legendary move. That is legendary. I fucking
Total
love that
legend.
so much. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
so
total
goosebumps, man. I
legend.
mean, and like it was just really cool to see everybody that was coming out supporting you. Like your bike packer's favorite bike packer, that's going to be the thing. You just are. But I mean, I love what you're doing for the sport. I love that you're out there. I love that
It's
you're forward facing. I love that you're like putting, you know, you're like having fun, yeah, and you're keeping things in perspective, and it resonates with people, man. Like people are coming out, and yeah, it's got to be like such a fucking epic feeling to just see people taking time out of their day to like come give you a hug or a high five. Like my girlfriend and I were just
yeah.
talking yesterday about like small acts of kindness and how they make the biggest difference. And like, you know, they didn't buy you a $20,000 Rolex or anything. It's just like, no, they just like all they did was show up and they told you that they were paying attention, they care, you're awesome, like whatever. Like how amazing.
The most amazing, dude. The most amazing. Yeah, small acts of kindness. I mean, that's almost like a big act of kindness, you know. But like, yeah, kindness is such a great thing, and it's even, you know, one of the great things about these bike packing, especially like the well, all bike packing efforts, but I think especially so if you're like physically really pushing it, is like all it takes is for a complete stranger to just like give you a wave as you bike by, or like a yoo you know,
Yeah.
like something, like some sort of, and they have no idea what you're up to. They don't know if you're on a 2 mile ride or a two
Right.
thousand mile ride. It just doesn't matter. But it's just like they see you riding, they give you the thumbs up or the smile, and like the way that that little thing, that small act of kindness, like what you said, can just like totally penetrate your heart and make you feel so loved and like connected. It's crazy powerful. So I think
Yeah.
like one of the ways that I take that into my own life is like definitely when I'm out in the world, not just like on my bike stuff. And like if you anytime I see someone and I like there's like some way that I can like be kind to them, you know, like whether it's like giving someone a smile or a thumbs up or saying, "Oh, hey, like cool hat" or whatever. Like all of those things I feel like are so important because like kindness is just always a good thing to give. You know, like
Yeah.
everyone loves receiving it. So yeah, it's good. Good
Kindness
stuff.
begets kindness, you know, and that's yeah.
Totally.
Yeah,
Totally.
that's sorry. My girlfriend and I were having this conversation yesterday about Eric House. Actually, the reason it came up, I'll give Eric a shout out. He's a homie. Uh,
Yeah.
he sent me, you know, these little. They're actually. Hold on, let me go get it. So there are these things that go on cords. And you could put it on like your, you know, your charging cord for your iPhone or whatever, but it's like a
Mm.
little animal, and this one is a little lion, and he wrote all these little messages on there. He said, "Love you a million. Good luck this summer. See you in the fall." And
Oh,
and then on the he like
dude.
titled it to the title was Lion I Love You. Like that's who it was addressed to, and that was a reference back to whenever he and I did a podcast. We were trying to figure out what my spirit animal was, and it was a lion. But like
Oh,
this is such a simple, like sweet, thoughtful, like kind little thing, you know, but he like went out of his way and he was like thinking about me. And then like we started talking about how like, you know, I'm like that the next day, this just happened 2 days ago. So yesterday I was like, I was finding ways in my life to like pay that forward, you know, is like my boy Ben
mm,
Crannell's out doing Pinions and Pines right now. It's like, oh, let me make sure I fill him with some love, you know, and so it's just all
totally.
good shit, man. Those little things, man.
Absolutely. Dude, that's so great. And like a thing like that little lion, like it's so nice to have like even just a little physical reminder. It's like every time you look at that thing, it's
Yeah,
gonna bring back that feeling of like being cared for and all that. I mean,
yeah. So
that's a
the
sweet
reason
one.
why he does
Shouts
these,
out Eric.
yeah, dude, he's freaking he's the best, man. I should mention the reason why he gives these out is because they fit perfectly on your brake cables, or your shifter cables. So he
No
gave me one that I
way.
have on my Esker, my mountain bike. I'll probably put this one on my gravel bike, you know. And so I got a little reminder, you know.
That's so great. Oh, I
It's so
love it.
good.
I
Yeah.
love it.
All right. Well, I do want to, yeah, I want to hit the Pan American. First off, awesome job on the Pacific Crest Trail. Or not, I keep wanting to say Pacific Crest Trail, Pacific Coast route. I was just glued to the dot. You don't even know. Like I was cheering you on the whole way. I had a great time following you, and just congrats on accomplishing your goal, man. That's awesome. Um, let's talk
Thank you.
about. You're
Thank you.
welcome. You're welcome. Pan American world record. You and I have been emailing about this for a little while. I am so fucking jacked. You've got to be jacked. So let's just start at the top. And actually, let me preface this real quick. I haven't told you this yet, but in my mind, I have a plan to tell this story. And so hopefully you'll agree. So we'll make this like an intro. My goal is to like go and meet you whenever you roll through Texas, and hopefully get a little like audio from you. And then we'll do like a post wrap up like once it's all said and done. But I haven't told you that, but that's in my mind. So I'd love to kind of just tee up that conversation right now, you know?
That's so epic, dude. Wow. Cool.
I'm excited. So what is the Pan American world record? I mean, what is this that you're doing, and when are you set to, and when are you planning to take off?
Totally. Yeah. So the current record is held by this incredible rider named Bond Almond. And not only is he like a beast of a rider, he seems to be such a great person as well. I've just gotten to know him online. But we've had calls, him and I mean, he's like so helpful. He suggested, he was like, "Oh, dude, like that's gonna be awesome. Let's have a call. I'll give you all the beta I can." So
Love
like
it.
he's really supportive. So that alone is already like great vibes, you know. And but then, dude, he set a time. I mean, he set it just an absolute cracking time on that route. So that's pretty cool too. So he did it in
What is it?
70
Okay.
75 days and some amount of hours. So I call it
Okay.
75 and a half. Um, and which is just insane. And just to give like a brief history of Pan American records, it's like there was this guy. The first time I had heard of it was this guy. His name's Jonas Deichmann. I don't know if you've had him on the podcast. He's a German
No.
dude, and he's really cool. His whole thing is like records. He's like a record guy, you know. And
Okay.
so he went and did it in 100 days or maybe 99 days, and it was kind of like, oh my god, like how did this guy do that? And that was maybe, gosh, maybe that was like 2022 or something like that is when I saw that happening. And it was just like the coolest thing ever. Then there and I could have the order wrong here, but then there was a Red Bull project. There was this guy, his name's Michael Strasser, cyclist. I want to say he's definitely European. I forget exactly what country he's from. But he went out there with a full support crew, like a overland vehicle that had like, you know, like chefs and logistics coordinator, I think, and like a masseuse, I think, and stuff like that, like the whole thing.
Right.
And spare bike parts and everything like that. And so they followed him, and he was sleeping in that every night. And so he did a fully supported effort, and he did it in, I want to say, 84 days.
Oh, wow.
And there was there's a whole Red Bull documentary on it. It's called, I think, Ice to Ice or something like that.
Okay. I'm
And so
writing
then
that
he
down.
did that. Yeah, he did that, and it was like, oh man, all right, well, that's what can be done if you have like a full support vehicle and stuff like that. Then there's this Brazilian guy who goes out, and his name's Leo. I don't know his full name, but his name's Leo. I watched him do it, and then his goal was to beat Jonas's supported record. So Leo ended up doing it in, I want to 90 something days, maybe 97 or something in that realm. And it took him 2 tries to do it. He did his first try on the Pan American. Something went wrong. The next year, he went back and did the whole thing in 90 something days. Then Bond, who's like straight new to the game, he's in college. He goes out there and just tears it up, fully self-supported, like
Wow.
pretty low key to begin with. Now now people definitely know this guy. I mean, he's like big on the scene now. But he went out there and then just like absolutely demolished the supported record. So he did it in 75 days, which is just insane. You know, like
That
it really is insane. It's a full on effort. Um, and he had his fair share of difficult things, you know, as you do, you know, weather and bike problems and all that stuff. He definitely had all that. So yeah, I mean, he set the bar really high, which is super cool. And so
Wow.
it's
What did he tell you? Have y'all had that conversation yet, or has he told you what he thinks that he did well from a self-supported effort that was faster than a supported effort?
dude,
That's
he's
I mean,
he's
and by like 10 days or something. I mean, like
yeah,
a big margin.
dude, he's got that dog in him.
He
He's
got
he's
that
got
dog in him. That's the answer.
he's you know, he's got that I'm sure he just has like this grit, this like determination, and obviously he's a super strong rider and like all that stuff,
That's
you know.
insane. I love that.
And then there's the other side of it too, where it's like, because folks have also asked me like, oh my God, are you gonna have a support crew and this and that? And I'm like, dude, if I'm super tired and I'm riding all day for weeks and I'm like exhausted and there's like crap weather and I have a vehicle following me with like a warm bed and a meal, I'm gonna stop. It's so
Yeah.
easy to stop. But if you don't have that and you have to keep riding to get to your meal, you know, 50 miles down the road or something, you just keep going. And so
Maybe
like
that's the
almost in
answer. Maybe that's the
exactly,
answer. Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyways, anyways,
Well,
so that's what I'm
so when are
going
you
for.
planning to roll out? Are you still targeting July?
Yeah, mid-July. I have a flight. So July 17th is when I fly up to Prudhoe Bay, Alaska, which is the northernmost town on the Pan American. And I'll probably start riding, you know, 2 days later, maybe probably like July 20th when I'll
Okay.
start. Yeah.
How did you pick that day? I'm curious. I mean, you're going to face every weather known to man, but is there a way to strategically place this for the best weather window, or how'd you pick July?
I think I was trying for a while to like do some research and figure out, okay, is it best to do it in, you know, earlier summer? Is it best to do it in the fall? And I think no matter how you organize it, you're going to have rough weather one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
And so I honestly kind of ended up picking July. I think some of my reasoning was like one, um, this is kind of silly, but like some of my closest friends are getting married in October. So I was like, I want to be at these weddings, you know, like I care
Okay.
about my life outside of riding. So I was like, I want to be, it would be cool to be back in time for that. But then also I was like, well, July has like it's almost 24 hours of daylight, you know. And so I was like, that's pretty cool at the start because I think my style is like I'll probably go pretty hard at the beginning and try and maybe beat my goal a little bit just to
All
buy some
right.
buffer time.
Right,
Um,
right.
so I was like,
Yeah, bank some extra time in the beginning, yeah, just in case anything
yeah,
goes wrong, you slow down, whatever, yeah.
exactly. So I was like 24 hours of daylight, super cool. I think that July is actually one of the wetter months in that part of Alaska, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, that's what that is. But and I think when I'm coming through Texas, I mean, you know, but I'm gonna be coming through southern Texas, like it'll probably be like like early August or something, mid
Yeah, the
August. And so,
hottest time of Texas, yeah.
dude, it's gonna be hot. It's gonna be hot. Yeah. So, oh man, you
Uh,
know,
uh, well, I mean, yeah, that is the part I'm the most interested in is when you're coming through Texas and also what route. Have you finalized your route through Texas yet?
yeah, I do have my route through Texas. Oh man, I wish I could remember the exact towns and stuff I'm going through. I don't pass through any major towns. I know I go through
Oh
Lubbock.
yeah. Yeah, Lubbock.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lubbock. I
That's a
go
big
through
town.
there. Yeah, that one seems like a big town. I think I go either through or pretty close to Uvalde.
Oh, Uvalde. Yeah.
Uvalde, yeah. I crossed the border into Mexico at Del Rio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
send me
I'm not.
Yeah, send me your route so I can start scheming where the best place for me to intercept you would. And like I know I can't slow you down. So like my biggest fear is like, can I even hang with him? Because what I'd love to do is like mic you up, like throw a mic on you and we just like go ride, chit
I
chat, shoot
love
the
it, dude.
shit.
Yeah.
But I don't even know if I keep up with you. That we'll see.
Ah, dude, we'll make it happen for sure, dude, for sure. Yeah, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I hope the timing works out. Like that would be like that's one of my bucket list goals for this year is like if I could go ride with you, be a part of that, catch some audio clips, like that would be really rad. So
That'd be insane.
that's me. That's me. But like as far as the rest of the world is concerned, when it comes to a route, same question as the Pacific Coast. Is there an established route? You picked your own route? Like how does that work?
Yeah, so on this one, I'm following the Guinness rules for it. So they have their own like specific to the Pan American, but I assume it's a format they use for like all of their long form bike efforts or something. But really, it's like you have to start in Prudhoe Bay, you have to finish in Ushuaia, you have to take a plane from Panama City to Cartagena to get across the Darien Gap, which is the only part of
Oh.
the road that doesn't exist, that doesn't connect through. And I want to say that it's other than those parameters, you choose your route.
Hmm.
But you have to ride everything,
Yeah.
100% of it. And so, yeah, that obviously, and that's a long route. So obviously there's like so much room to choose. But you know, I I've looked back at all of the routes that everyone who's gone for a record have done, and they're all quite similar. There's like some differences through the US and this and that. But I'm pretty much following what everyone has done, almost exactly, or at least I'm following what Bond did mostly, except I'm actually making a big difference on my route through Mexico.
Okay.
And it's a little bit of a gamble, but I just read, talking to Bond and having read about some of the stuff he encountered just from a traffic perspective, because like when I think the fastest line through Mexico is kind of like through the dead center, which is like through Mexico City and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And like once you hit those freeways that are like coming in and out of Mexico City, I think it's just like gnarly with the traffic and no shoulders and big trucks and everything like that. So I'm opting for a route that is going to be taking the east coast of Mexico, that I don't really know much about. I think like, on the internet it says like these are the more dangerous parts of Mexico from a crime standpoint or something like that. But like, dude, I swear I'm not just naive to all this, but I really trust my safety in that kind of scenario. I'm like, dude, I love this country. I love these people.
Mhm.
I'm coming there with really good intentions. I'm just riding my bike. Like I'm not like flashy, this and that, whatever. And so like I'm not worried about that. But I do think it's going to be less traffic, hopefully. And so yeah, I'm giving it a shot. So just taking a different route through Mexico. But everything else, I'm pretty much following the main corridor, which is like the speed corridor, which is challenging too, because like, for instance, I'm looking at the route that comes through Canada, and like you're so close to Banff and Canmore and like that whole beautiful
Mhm.
corridor through the Rockies, the Canadian Rockies and stuff like that. But you're riding on the eastern side of all of that, like in the flatlands. And so I was making a reroute to go through all those beautiful places. Mount Robson, like all these like iconic Canadian rocky spots, but it adds like 100 miles or something like that. And
Yeah, that
and then like
sucks.
there's the devil on my shoulder is like, oh dude, like 100 miles, but it's gonna be beautiful. So it's like your vibes are gonna be higher, and that's gonna help you in the long run. And then the more like logistical is like, oh man, like you're gonna want those 100 miles back, dude. You're gonna be tired. So like just go for the fast route. So
Yeah,
yeah, anyways, it's pretty much the most streamlined route possible.
right on. Dude, you are going for the Guinness Book of World Record. I didn't make that connection because you emailed me. You're like, dude, I'm going for the world record. I'm like, I'm thinking more like fastest known time type thing, but like you're talking about like certified in a frame world record holder type situation.
Certify it. Yeah. Yep.
Certify me, baby.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Which is
Dude, that's
funny.
so cool.
Dude, yeah, it's funny. So like Bond, for instance, from what I understand, didn't do Guinness certified, but like he has the record. Like
Uh-huh.
he does. I personally don't care if it's Guinness certified or not. Like that dude has the record. I grew up like reading the Guinness Book of World Record books and
Me
stuff
too,
like that.
for
Like I was
sure.
always so fascinated by like, oh my God, this person has like 12 arms or something like that. Like there's like all these like amazing things. So I'm like, um, yeah, so I'm just excited by that. I'm like, I kind of want to. I'd like to be in the book, but there are some funny things. Like they actually don't differentiate between supported and self-supported. So
Whoa.
like they don't differentiate at all. So like that guy Michael Strasser who had the Red Bull crew, he according to
Right.
Guinness, he has the world
Has a
record still.
right.
Yeah. And so I'm going up against that. So like I could have all the support I want. Like I could call in any support at any time and I would still qualify for Guinness, but I'm personally going to be treating it the way that I want to treat it. Yeah, and then there's other things like in order to get it Guinness certified, I literally need to have a little notebook with me and I need to have witnesses sign my notebook every day,
Oh,
which
okay.
is like a funny thing. And I'm like, dude, that
That's so
seems
old
kind of
school.
like
Yeah.
old
We have
school.
GPX
Yeah, like
files now. Yeah. Like you can follow my dot in live
exactly.
time, but you're going to like,
Yeah,
but that'll be a cool memory, honestly, to have like when it's all said and done. Like that'll be like so
exactly.
rad, but it's also kind of silly.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel about it. So,
Yeah. So what
yeah.
is your approach going to be? Similar to Pacific Coast, I'm guessing, solo self-supported, no hand ups. Like how are you approaching this one?
Yeah, solo self-supported, no hand-ups. The one thing that I will be doing, and I actually think that technically on like the Tour Divide website, if you look at the rules, I think that this is actually allowed on the Tour Divide, but regardless of that, this is what I'm doing on this ride is I'm gonna have 2 points on the route where I'm going to ship ahead like a refresh on my kit, like my clothing, and probably some bike parts as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just because, yeah, some stuff is like harder to find down there. So like, that's kind of like on my to-do list for the coming weeks. But like, I have to I'll have like, yeah, like I said, two locations split throughout like 1/3 in and 2/3 in, where I'm gonna have fresh kit, fresh bike parts waiting for me when I get there. So, I don't know where that falls into the category again of like
My
supported, self-supported,
yeah.
publicly available. I mean, I don't, whatever. It just doesn't even matter to me. Like that for me, that like with my moral compass, like that feels like pretty fine and necessary. And
Right.
so like that's what I'm
Well,
doing.
you don't need my validation, but I'll validate you in the fact that that is my understanding that I mean that is a publicly available thing that everybody can do. Therefore it's okay. That's my understanding. But at the end of the day, it's your compass, it's your ride, and as long as you feel good about it, I feel great about it.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah,
That's good to
that's all
hear.
that matters. Uh okay, so
Yeah.
time goals, are we shooting for 75 days? I mean, you're going after Bond, right? Like that's the time to beat is Bond in your mind.
It is. Yeah, it is. I am. And that's again, it's hard for me to say these things out loud because like I'm totally nervous, but yeah. Like I'm with the utmost like absolute maximum level of respect for what Bond accomplished out there. My goal for sure is to go faster than that.
So what does that look like breaking that down mileage per day? Yeah, what does that
So
look
I
like?
think if I recall, I think his came out to something like in the upper 180s, like maybe call it 188 miles per day or something like that. Um, I need to fact check that. I forget. It's been a while since I've looked at that number. I pretty much saw whatever it was, and I was like, okay, my goal is going to be 200 per day.
Okay.
Like that's kind of like a solid thing, and if I can make that my routine, then that will put me in a position to, yeah, not only like take have the fast time on it, but also will give me some buffer if something were to go wrong. I'm not just doing like 1 mile a day faster. I'm doing like those 10 miles a day faster. That definitely adds up over time. So yeah, that's my goal, is 200 miles per day. So, you know,
Um, sitting here now, we're in May, right? So we're almost like exactly 2 months away from you departing.
yeah,
I have a million questions, but you and I both kind of have to get off this call, so we're gonna work on wrapping it up. But what are you excited about? What are you nervous about? What are you feeling 2 months going in, especially just coming off like a really nice
mm,
ride? Like, I have to imagine you have about 1,000 different thoughts and emotions going on, but
dude,
where
a
are you
thousand and
at?
one. Yeah, man, what am I excited about? I mean, obviously there's long lists to all these things, but I've had to pinpoint some stuff. Like, dude, I'm excited to go on a bike tour.
Yeah,
Like
just go on a
I'm,
bike tour.
yeah, like I'm excited and what I mean by that is like I'm excited to get into the rhythm where it becomes my life, and it's not just like, oh, I'm like going on this like like getting a taste of this experience and then going home. It's like when you do these really long things, it just becomes your entire life. And so I'm really excited to tap into that side of it, however long that takes. I'm anticipating that'll take me like 2 weeks to really, 2 or 3 weeks to really be in it. But like, I just can't wait to be at that point where I'm just like so immersed in the journey in the bike tour.
Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, that's really exciting for me. The nervous stuff, I mean, dude, like the physical goal of it, like this I like to say, oh, I'm gonna ride 200 miles per day. That's not light work for me. That's like that's full on. And so I'm just nervous about that, and it's scary. It really is scary to say these things because I'm like,
Yeah.
I get this almost like imposter syndrome. I'm like, dude, who am I kidding? Like, how can I say? And then I know, like, I did this ride, and then I think I'm like, oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
just did this Pacific Coast ride. I did 250 per day. So like, it is within my wheelhouse, but it's hard. It definitely doesn't come easy. I don't think that kind of thing comes easy to anybody. Like, that's hard work.
Right.
So I'm nervous about the physical aspect of it. And yeah, just sharing the road with cars is on my mind as well.
Yeah.
And I cherish this life, and I have so many people that I love, and want to just be respectful and not just like doing this in a way. Sometimes this kind of thing feels a little selfish because obviously there's like some inherent risks associated with it, and I'm like, I'm just going out and doing this thing, but like, I've got some lovely, lovely folks that I care about and that care about me, and so like that's on my mind too,
Hmm.
but then at the same time I'm like, this is so much like part of my it's so much part of my journey, of my life mission, like my rite of passage. And so I feel obligated. Like now that the Pan American is like this thing in my mind, my life wouldn't be able to continue without at least giving it a shot. So
Yeah.
that's just,
It's calling to you.
yeah, yeah. And it
How
has been for a while. I actually messaged that guy, Jonas Deichmann, the German guy. I have a screenshot of it. I messaged him on Instagram like 4 years ago or something like that when he got the record.
wow.
And I was like, dude, you've inspired me so much. Like, I'm going to want to do this someday. Thank you for like putting it out there. And so it was
That
cool
is
looking back on that. Dude, I was like, oh my God, I'm following through with this promise I made myself
yeah.
like many, many years ago.
That is
So
so cool,
yeah,
man. I was thinking, when did you do your Santa Barbara down to South America that you were talking about earlier? What year
that
was
was
that?
in 2000. That was 2017.
17. Wow, less than 10
Yeah.
years later. Now look, I mean,
Yeah. That's insane. Yeah.
that's insane, man.
Uh,
And it's
yeah.
just evidenced by like I follow you on Strava. You are always on your bike, always on your bike, always riding different types of terrain, like different routes. Like you are just always on your bike. You're always pushing it. You're doing double Everest. You're doing Tour Divide. Like this is just a reflection of 9 years of fucking like getting after it, like really getting after it. So it's really cool to see, man. I am like so jacked for you. I couldn't be happier. Like, yeah, I'm
Oh,
just looking forward to it. I'm
dude.
happy for you. I am happy for you. Like, it makes me happy to see you and anyone just like putting in the work and having the experience, having successes. We all have failures. We get over the failures. We keep pushing. And now look, like, don't limit yourself in your mind. Like you said at the beginning, like, be open-minded. Like, what is my potential? And don't let me be the thing that's going to stop it, And it's just such a cool
Mm.
testament, man.
Ah, dude, you're making me tear up, man. That was
Aw.
beautiful.
Well, you're a sweet
Thanks,
boy.
Patrick.
I love you very much, man. I can't wait to
You too.
go. Yeah, I was about to say I can't wait to go on this adventure with you. I'm not going. I hope to join you for a little bit, but I'm gonna be there with you, whether I'm there in person or not. Last question, just for fun. Do you think that being bilingual is going to give you an advantage on your world record attempt?
Without a single doubt.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes, it will be monumental. Just for cutting that sense of loneliness out there, because like you can feel super lonely, and all it takes is a conversation. It can be a conversation with a stranger, but all it takes is like a real conversation with somebody to like bring you back into that sense of community. And so, yeah, I know that when I'm down there, I'm going to be just knowing myself, I'm going to be chatting up everyone I meet, from the people I'm buying food from to, whoever I'm meeting outside of the road and stuff. And so, that being able to communicate in a meaningful way is going to be humongous for my morale, and maybe logistically too.
Yeah,
Like finding
logistically.
the thing, yeah. But really for the morale, I think that's where it's going to come in and be like huge for me. So yes,
I'm on day 286 of Duolingo. I'm trying
yeah,
so hard to
nice.
learn Spanish, but that is what I want the most. Like, Latin America has just become like so near and dear to my heart. And what I crave the most is being able to go and like have those like authentic conversations with the people, get to know them. Like, that's what I'm craving, is like not just experiencing it, but like even being more immersed and be able to like talk to the people that live there and like hang out, like that really appeals to me. So I like that you highlighted that
Totally.
first. My mind was thinking about the logistical aspect, but I like your answer better.
Yeah, I think both. It helps both, but well, good job with your Duolingo, man. That's awesome.
Oh, thanks. I'm yeah, poco a poco. I'm a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm not making major strides, but like it's one, like I'm busy. Everybody's busy, but like it's something, it's one little thing that I can do every single day to help work me towards one of my goals, which is to be able to speak fluently Spanish and maybe even live there one day. Like, so talking about speaking
Yeah.
goals, like it just takes, whatever you're doing, man, just poco a poco, little by little.
Little but totally. 1 mile an hour is better than zero.
Yeah,
Always.
that's a good one too. All right, man. Well, any final thoughts before we wrap this up? It's a pleasure as always to talk to you, man. You are a ray of light, a great ambassador for the sport of bikepacking, and I'm happy for you and just excited to see the next version of your adventures, man.
Ah, thanks, Patrick. Yeah, man. Just super grateful to have this conversation with you, and extremely exciting to at the potential of seeing you out there on the route. Like, obviously, no expectations. Life is life, and things come up. But
Yeah.
obviously, for me, that's a very exciting potential. So, yeah, just really thank you for having me and for all the incredibly kind things you've said. And I'm just happy to be here. And
All right.
yeah, man.
Just
Thank you.
happy. No, thank you. All right.
Just
Well,
stoked.
don't forget, email me your route and when you think you might be rolling through Texas, and I'm gonna do some
Cool.
planning on my end, and we'll see if we can make it happen, dude. I really want to do that.
Cool. Sounds good. I will. That's
All
awesome.
right, buddy. Go ride your damn bike.
All right, Patrick. All right. Yeah. Yes, sir. You got it. As the doctor prescribed.
All right, signing off. Talk to you later, buddy.
Later, dude.
All
Bye-bye.
right, bye bye. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. Big shout out and congrats goes to Daniel. It goes without saying, I'm excited about the Pan American world record attempt. I hope that I get to see him out there. And either way, we'll be bringing you more from that experience once there's something to talk about. If you appreciated today's episode, please consider signing up to be a sustaining member of the podcast over at patreon.com/bikesordeath. And if you'd like to find a free and easy way to support the podcast, some great ways to do that are by signing up as a subscriber to our YouTube channel. I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers, and I think we're like 920 right now. So you can help push me over the edge. You can also leave a 5-star review wherever you listen to your podcast. And those are just a couple free things you can do to say thank you if you appreciated this episode. And if you didn't, why are you still listening? Huh? Well, as always, it is my absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, you know what to do. Go ride your damn bike.
It was the middle of the night. You grabbed your knife and you held it tight. The sounds of beasts kept you awake. The sounds they made kept you afraid. In the morning, you packed your bike. Memories forgotten from the previous night. You rode faster than ever before. Was it your imagination or merely folklore? Fear turned into strength as you pushed further. Every pedal stroke stronger and firmer. Your bike feels weightless, your legs aren't tired. You think to yourself, just a few more miles. Bikes or death. Bikes